Hey bro, what up? So at the end of the last week, I finally, after a long time, was able to meet a good friend of mine that I by now know for over 5 years. Very interesting guy. He's 20 years older than I am, so he's got way more experience than I have. He's an entrepreneur. He was a professional football player. Interesting guy. Interesting, very intelligent, and very kind guy. And we have this connection where every time that we sit down and talk, we just can't help ourselves but to talk about philosophical and self-improvement stuff and anything in that direction, basically. And the thing is, every time that we sat down and had our talk, which is always a great time, I'm just challenged with basically his views on the problems that I'm facing. And we just discuss so many different topics that there's just so much going on in my mind right now that I don't really know where to start, but there's so much that we can talk about. And so in this video, I just want to cover the most thought-provoking aspect of our conversation that we had, because we were talking about something that is very dear to myself, and I think that a lot of us who are on this path of self-improvement, we all pretty much, I think, have the tendency towards the same problem, and that would be self-criticism, self-critique, self-criticizing. I think I've talked about that before. I definitely am a fan of self-critique. I think it's very important to just keep yourself in check, to make sure that you get the things done that you wanted to do, and if you haven't reached your goals or whatever, to make sure that you realize that you fucked up. And you have to understand that basically for the last couple of years, I have been incredibly harsh towards myself when it comes to self-critique. The words that I use to talk to myself, because I hope that you guys are doing that too. If not, then maybe I'm the guy who's a bit weird. I like to talk to myself in my head. I just like to have a conversation with myself. And when I'm sitting there and having this conversation with myself, it's often very condescending towards myself. I don't know why I do this, but I just think that we were taught from a very young age to be harsh on ourselves, which in essence is not wrong, right? Don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying that we shouldn't discipline ourselves. I'm not saying that we shouldn't make sure that we don't do the same mistakes over and over again and stuff like that. So in a certain sense, yes, self-critique is very important, and I'm a very big fan of it. But in my case, it's incredibly harsh, and I have come to the point at which I hate myself for not achieving goals, for not doing something that I set out to do. I literally hate myself for it. I've pushed the self-critique to such an unhealthy point that I really had the need to punish myself. Not physically. We're not talking about physical punishment. We're talking about mental punishment, because I'm so incredibly mentally harsh on myself. And I make mistakes all the time, right? I make them all the fucking time. In every field of self-improvement, I'm constantly battling with it. I'm constantly having struggles in every field of self-improvement, which is normal, which is part of the way. That's how things are. You can't be perfect. But I have this expectation towards myself that I need to be perfect, that I have to always do 100% of the things that I set out to do. But I'm just a human being. And sometimes I'm just so distracted and full of failure that I don't meet my goals, that I don't do the things that I wanted to do. And that's when the self-critique just gets very hurtful. Um, and over the time, of course, I've gotten used to it. I mean, I've been doing this for years. I can't remember, seriously, I can't remember the last time that I didn't critique myself in a very, very harsh manner. And my friend and I, we've been talking about that. And basically, he, with 20 years of life advantage, of life experience ahead of me, so he's got a clear advantage there, he perfectly understands the problem. And he goes, I'm probably not going to be able to completely paraphrase it, but I'm just going to give you the idea of what he wanted to say. He said, why on earth would you want to do that? Why on earth would you criticize yourself so hard that you come to hate yourself, that you come to dislike features of yourself? You are who you are, and you are a beautiful human being. You are kind, you're intelligent, you're loving, you're caring, and of course you want to improve yourself. So yes, on the one hand, you do have to discipline yourself. That's the only way to get it done. But on the other hand, if you do it too harsh, you might break yourself, but in a negative sense, not in the way of breaking yourself to grow out of it, but you will break your spirit. And that made me think. That really made me think, because this is not questioning everything that we talk about, right? That I'm talking about. That's not the thing. It's just that I just feel like he's right. I just feel like this friend of mine is perfectly right in what he means when he says, you are a very unique, incredible, beautiful human being. And criticizing yourself too much might make you hate this version of yourself, which is who you are. And you cannot hate yourself for being what and who you are. You can't hate yourself, because this will break your spirit. So what can you do? And he was very specific about it, because I told him how I'm doing it. Let me give you an example, guys. So all of my plans, all of my days, every single day, and I've been doing this, I think, for 2 years or 3 years now. Every single day is planned through. Every single day, I take a notebook and just write down the things that I want to do in the order that I want to do them every single day. And then, as I progress throughout the day, I just tick the boxes. I just tick the things that I wanted to do. And of course, 90% of the time, I'm not reaching and I'm not able to fulfill all of the tasks that I have set out for the day. The idea of mine was that the more things I pack into a day, the fuller it is, right? Logical. But it's not important to reach all of the goals. That was what I thought in the beginning. I was very positive about it, because I thought, well, if you have, let's just say some random number, if you have 10 goals for a day, and you know that normally you would split these goals into 5 for 2 days, but you put them into one day, meaning that, let's say, if you have a good day, you're able to do 7 of them, which is a very, very good very good way of getting things done. And it works. It works brilliantly, right? But I have been doing this for such a long time that, to me, the standard is just that I have to get 100% of the day done. I have to get all of the tasks done. And again, I'm not doing that. I'm not able to always tick every single box every single day. And here comes the self-critique. Because usually I would say, well, okay, that was a good day. I did 70% of what I wanted to do, which is more than expected probably. But nowadays It's just that, oh, you did 80%. Why didn't you do 100%, you fucking lazy shit? That's how I talk to myself. That's how I think about myself. I personally believe, I have made myself believe, that I'm a lazy piece of shit. Which might be true. Honestly, it might be true, but you get the point. This is the picture that I have of myself at the end of pretty much every single day. Because after the day has passed, I'm sitting down, I'm taking a look at my notebook, I'm going through all of the things that I wanted to do, and of course I'm seeing that, well, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. And by now it's just, I have reached a point at which I'm constantly, every single day, I'm constantly criticizing myself for having not done one of the 10 things that I wanted to do, but I did the other 9. And that's the problem. And that's what my buddy meant. That's what the friend of mine meant. That you have to appreciate who you are, what you're going through. And only that way you can learn to become better. Now, here was the idea that he had towards this. He said it's very good to structure everything, and still, I won't stop that, right? It works wonders for me. Every single day, at the evening, I'm sitting down and I'm thinking about all of the things that I want to get done the next day. And then, on the morning of the next day, part of my morning routine is just to read through the goals that I have for this day, and then I get done. Then I just get started with it. So I think that this is a very good way to approach your day. But what I am going to do from now on is, after every day, I will sit down, I will do my assessment as usual, but the difference is going to be that I'm not going to be just cursing towards myself, cursing on myself, and just talk down towards myself. But this time, and from now on, I'm seriously going to sit there and think, okay, I don't know, let's say it was a mediocre day. I did 70% of the things that I wanted to do, which is good. First of all, it's good. I did 70 fucking percent. That's the majority of the things that I wanted to do. Why didn't I do 100%? What was it that kept me from fulfilling 100% of the tasks that I had set out for this day to be done? What was it specifically that made me not reach my goal? And I mean, I get why I didn't really want to do this for the last couple of years, because it's hard, because you actually have to sit there and reflect and think about yourself and think about your actions throughout the day. But I'm 100% certain, because I have been trying to implement this for the last couple of days, I'm pretty certain that once you get this drilled into you, you will be able to, in a much healthier way, eventually reach 100% of the tasks that you've set out for the day. Because once you've figured out what keeps you from reaching your goals, you're very specific, right? We're truly, thoroughly thinking about this. Once we have figured that out, the only thing we have to do is eliminate that. That's the only thing we have to do. And sometimes, of course, there are things that you just can't eliminate. Like, I don't know, spending time with your family. Of course, you shouldn't eliminate that. That's your family. You should spend time with them. And in that case, it just doesn't matter whether you've reached 80% of what you wanted to do this day, or even 50% of what you wanted to do with your day, if for the other half of your day you spend time with your family. No, that's great, actually. That's good. Or with friends, or out in nature. That's good. That's great. So I specifically have to learn to appreciate imperfection. Because perfection does not exist. Nowhere. Perfection isn't real. Or we could phrase it differently. We could say the universe is perfectly imperfect. I hope you get what I'm trying to bring across here. perfection in itself doesn't exist. So striving for perfection is striving for something that does not exist. Now, does that mean that we have to lower our standards? Of course not. That's not what I'm talking about. Of course not. You should still have your standards. You should still try to move towards fulfilling them. You should still try to get your things done. But don't talk down on yourself. And remember yourself that you did great. And just realize that struggles are part of our path. If you ask God for strength, or the universe, whatever you believe in, right? I'm just going to say God. If you ask God for strength, He's not going to give you strength. He's going to give you struggles that will make you get stronger. If you're asking God for wisdom, He will not make you wise. He will give you tasks and struggles that you have to go through, and by going through them, you gain wisdom. And this is what I myself still have to just constantly make myself aware of. That I am not perfect. I probably will never, I will never be perfect. I'll never be perfect. And the perfect day does not exist. There is no perfect day. Still, again, doesn't mean that we have to lower our standards. It just means that we have to approach the assessment at the end of the day, if you're doing something like that, in a different manner. Now, if you are criticizing yourself by not going through notes or anything, right? Because you don't have to do that. It just works very good for me. But let's just say you are criticizing yourself constantly. Well, it's the same thing for you, man. Realize that you're not perfect. You're never gonna be perfect. Life is never gonna be perfect. Heck, we live in a perfectly imperfect universe. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be better. And you can become better by slowly but surely eliminating the small details that fuck your day up or that made you not reach your goals. Because trust me, there are very, very small details in there that you can slowly but surely, step by step, day by day, eliminate. And I'm 100% sure that this is a very, very healthy way of how we can achieve a positive attitude towards self-critique and towards getting where we want to get. Because again, self-critique in itself isn't wrong. It's very good that we do it. I think it's absolutely essential to do it. It's just, how do you do it? So, don't talk down on yourself. Don't hate yourself. Raise your standards. See you in the next one. Bye. Mwah!